Welcome to Compassion Speaks. I'm your host, Lynn Lewis. Compassion Speaks brings a voice to the nonprofits of the White Mountains. Today on our show, we have Laura Tamadong for the Women's Rights Without Frontiers. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes, how are you doing, Laura?
Good.
So Laura holds the title for Mrs. New Mexico.
Correct.
So let's get into that story of why Mrs. New Mexico and why not Mrs. Arizona.
Okay. The Mrs. Arizona pageant for the Mrs. International pageant will be held in April. And I wanted as much time to prepare for this pageant financially, fitness-wise, to have as much time to prep for the interview. If you live in a state or you work, were born, or own property, and we own property in New Mexico, and so that's how I was able to acquire this title.
Okay, very good.
So
now the platform in which you represent for the pageant is a very important platform, a nonprofit that speaks near and dear to your heart.
I think so.
So let's talk about that.
Thank you. I'm representing Women's Rights Without Frontiers. It's an organization that is working to stop forced and coerced abortion in China. And my daughter was adopted from China, and I love the Chinese people, and there are a lot of hurting people over there. China has aborted over 450 million babies in the name of population control. And also, they have a mandatory abortion for Down syndrome diagnosis, as well as other disabilities, and a lot of girls. And so that's just wrong in my heart and opinion. And I believe God loves babies, and that, you know, with COVID and being in a small community, we can get stuck in our own little bubble. And so I wanted to get the word out that there are women, there are families who are hurting. Not all these women want to abort their babies. And so that's part of my story. I lost twins and didn't think that anything could hurt my heart as much again until I saw a video from Women's Rights Without Frontiers where a woman had her baby forcibly aborted. And I just said, God, what are you going to do about this? And that became my prayer. Lord, what are you going to let me do about this? And then we were able to adopt our daughter, Poppy. So
let's learn a little bit about Poppy, because she touches a lot of people in this community.
Poppy is wonderful. She's a rock star. And, you know, people with disabilities have value. And sometimes our communities don't see that. They're different. But she is just such a happy, loving little girl that, you know, it doesn't matter right now. She doesn't talk. She's not eating solid foods. You know, we're working on that. And she teaches us something every day, and I think that people with disabilities need to be given chances, especially to live. You know, let's start with the first one. And the United States does a lot of aborting of people with Down syndrome as well. We're up to about 75%. So people need to know that if you get a prenatal diagnosis of Down syndrome, it's just different than what you expected. It's not, you know, it's not terrible. It's not going to be, you know, it's going to just be different. And get the support you need, and just believe that God has a plan for these people's lives.
Absolutely. We actually have, my sister-in-law, Dana, has Down syndrome, and she's a breath of fresh air to the family for sure. She brings that spunk and excitement and has her own little quirks that she does, and we love her and miss her. She's in Nevada, but we know they're
wonderful.
Very special and wonderful.
I think everybody should know somebody with disabilities, just because we're all different. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, and so it doesn't make anyone better or worse than anyone else.
Right.
So
now, with the platform of the group that you are supporting, is there anything locally that translates to, or how do they help? How does anybody locally help?
People can help locally by going to the Women's Rights Without Frontiers website and supporting the organization. They actually help families in China who have made a commitment to not abandoning or not aborting their little girls. They financially support them for a period of time. And that helps because it's not always the mother that aborts the child willingly. It can be in-laws. It can be parents who want a grandson, and so they force the mother to do this. And I think that we get stuck in our own little bubble here and wonder, what can my little $20 or $5 do? It can make a difference. I tell the starfish story a lot, that there's a boy on the beach and there's the whole beach is covered in starfish, and another couple see him just tossing them back into the water so they don't dry up. And the couple says, "What are you doing? You can't possibly make a difference to all of these starfish." And he picks one up and looks at it and says, "I made a difference to that one." And so I know I've made a difference to, one person. We may not be, to the world, we're just one person, but to one person, we could be their entire world.
Absolutely.
So just educate yourself about other countries, even if China isn't your cup of tea, or even just looking around at the world and find what matters to you. Just do something. And it doesn't matter money-wise if it's writing letters or telling other people about it. Even in our own community, we have Foster Connect. We have families that are adopting. So support a family that you know personally that's adopting, whether financially, or bring a meal, or give the mom a break. Give any mom a break. That's you doing your share to really help families. I really just want to support families in our local community, and we're called to look in the Bible at our local area, then a little further out, but then to go to the ends of the earth. And if you're not able to travel or go to the ends of the earth, we have the internet. You can watch videos, you can learn from YouTube, you can pick a country and pray for it. I've prayed for North Korea for decades. I know that the Lord put China on my heart because I really didn't care about China. Until I saw this video. And then my daughter, as soon as we saw a picture of her, we knew she was part of our family. And so, we worked really hard. International adoption is very challenging. But people say, "Oh, I would do it if it weren't for the money." There are ways. If there's a will, there's a way, right? So there are grants, there are loans, there are fundraisers. If in your heart you believe you're supposed to adopt, go through the classes, educate yourself, and just do it.
That's awesome.
Children belong in families. They don't belong in orphanages. They don't belong in institutions. They need families.
Yeah, I agreed 100%. So that's a great message and a great way for people just to kind of get that foundation of, where do I start?
Right.
Where do I start? So tell us a little bit more about the pageant. Is the pageant something that you are going to need support for as well to get there? What does that look like?
Right, yeah. So the pageant's in July. It's a week in Tennessee with women from all over the world, different states. And yeah, if there's anyone out there who hears my story and would love to support helping me get to, there's travel, there's wardrobe, there's all kinds of expenses, advertising. So I'm on Facebook at Laura Tamendong, or the Mrs. New Mexico International. Lots of people in town know me, so if you want to, I'm sure you can find me if you want to ask Lynn.
Yeah, it will have those links probably at the end of the show, so they'll be able to kind of look for you that way. But I think it's great because the main passion behind you getting on that stage to be Mrs. New Mexico is to spread the word about this cause.
Right. The pageant is a service-oriented pageant. There's no bathing suit. There's fitness wear that's 25%. The formal wear is 25%, but your interview is 50%. And your interview is all about your platform. What are you doing for your community? What are you doing to change the world? And there are women who are actually changing the world. So back to the platform with Women's Rights Without Frontiers. Reggie Littlejohn is a Yale-educated lawyer who started this organization, and she has dedicated her life to stopping forced abortion. And also, so they have the Save a Girl program on the website. So that's something people can do, is help literally save lives, save a girl from being aborted, and her story, her never having a chance to live her life. So that's something that if people hear this and want to do something.
Because in China, just so people who might not understand, they're looking for more male babies than female babies, correct?
Absolutely, because China doesn't have the structure for helping the elderly. Like we have the homes, not the, but we have places for the elderly to go. And they don't have that. They are looking for their male children to financially support them in their old age.
Okay.
That's their retirement program, is you have a boy. And if you don't have a boy, and also because of the one-child policy, people think, but they have the two-child policy now. There's no problems. That's not true, because if you're the second girl in that family and they're still trying to have a boy, you're going to meet with the same end.
Right.
So boys are definitely much more highly valued in that culture. And Women's Rights Without Frontiers also has a Save a Widow program, because if her husband has died, if she doesn't have a boy, China has the largest female suicide rate in the world. And I believe the numbers of, abortions and the mental health, the lack of mental health that it is tied with, depression when you have lost children, it's all tied together. And so I believe that leads to such high numbers of female suicide.
Absolutely.
As well.
Laura Tamadong, I thank you so much. Your passion for this group shines as bright as your crown.
Thank you.
So I pray for nothing but the best of luck, and that your word will spread from everything that you're doing. Thank you for being on the show today.
I appreciate this time. Thank you.
Yeah. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Compassion Speaks. Joining us now on the show is Dan Lewis, who is with Hogs and Hotrods of AZ. And Hogs and Hotrods has been a huge supporter, and actually your brainchild.
It is. We conjured this up to help out the Love Kitchen. It was financially needed some help, so we tried to figure out what we could do for the kitchen as far as a fundraiser, and something that we could do to give back to the community at the same time, and that's how we conjured this one up.
Yep. So for those that may not know, Danny is actually my husband. So when he says we, he's really talking about us and the Love Kitchen. So the Love Kitchen's been open since 1986, serving the White Mountain community. And through the years, it's had its vast majority of fundraisers, from spaghetti bakes to pancake breakfast to just about anything and everything that anybody else has done, it was doing too. And over time, we saw where those kind of fundraisers just weren't producing the kind of funding that was needed. And during the summer months are the most strenuous for the Love Kitchen, because we don't have our Head Start contracts.
Yeah, the contract ends, people goes on vacations, donations go way down, numbers double, in the summer because now nobody's in school. So now we got a lot of kids coming in, and it was a bad situation. So we had to figure out how we could accommodate that and bring in extra funds to support the kitchen throughout the summer.
Yeah, and you have a passion for old and new muscle cars.
Old and new muscle cars, primarily the old ones. Our son Cody is the new muscle car kid. So we put our heads together, and I love bikes. Loved them my whole life. I've rode Harleys my whole life, and of course because of the hot rod cars that I grew up around. So we put our heads together, and that's what we came up with, was the Hogs and Hotrods.
Hogs and Hotrods were born, and it gave us that opportunity because you're also a Marine.
Yes, I am a Marine. I was an 0331 machine gunner, infantry. So,
Hoorah.
Yep, hoorah.
And so Memorial Day held a very near and dear place in your heart.
It did. It was the only way that I could honor our veterans, our fallen veterans. It's the only way I could honor them, being so close to Memorial Weekend. We didn't want to interfere with Memorial Day, so we decided to have it on Memorial Weekend. It was tough at first because people made a lot of plans, but we have an amazing flag ceremony that really honors and pays tributes to our fallen veterans, and as well as our veterans that are survived today. We honor them with an amazing flag ceremony the first thing in the morning, and then we do the car show. So
the car show is scheduled to be on Saturday this year of Memorial Weekend. May 29th.
Saturday, May 29th. Put it on your calendar.
So the conflict, I guess you could say, that we're having is we're just waiting, and we're in March now. So we're waiting for the town of Pinetop Lakeside to officially approve any outdoor events over 50 people.
Yes.
At the event.
Yes, we're running into some issues. We want to make sure that everybody stays safe. That's a given. We don't want people to get sick coming to our show. We're going to take every measurement that we can. We're going to have hand sanitizers throughout the show. There's going to be masks that are going to be offered. We are going to require masks to enter the show. And we will make periodic announcements throughout the day to please remind people, to social distance, use the hand sanitizers. The cars are going to be spaced far enough apart where you can enjoy each car independently without having to get too close to the car next to you. So we're going to take a lot of measurements to make sure that people stay safe for the show.
It's going to be an interesting year. Since last year we were canceled due to COVID. COVID was spiking all-time highs during last year, and that put a halt for any funds to be raised for the Love Kitchen as well.
Yes.
We had a lot of people that actually took their entry fees and donated that to the kitchen at that time. Is that correct?
That is true. We had all but one. We had 32 people that had pre-registered, and every one of them did donate that entry fee back to the kitchen. So we're very thankful for that.
Yes.
So
would those people automatically be put back into the show for this year? Or is there going to be another registration? How are we looking at registrations for this year?
Registrations, we're basically going to do the same thing. We're going to pre-register cars that were in the show last year. Those people will get a registration form in the mail. They will have the first opportunity to register for the show. They will have priority into the show. They'll have 2 weeks to register. Once that 2-week time period is up, then we will hand out the registrations for everybody. And then everybody can obviously join the show. One of the biggest reasons we do that is because we offer a 3-foot trophy to the first entries. The first entry for the motorcycle, the first one for the truck, and the first one for the cars. So we do that as our way of saying thank you for being first. And in fact, that's what it says on the trophies. So we do that as a thank you for people coming back to the show and keeping them interested in our show. And a part of an incentive for other people to go, I want that trophy, I'm going to try to be the first one next year. So we do that as kind of a competition. I think people love competition.
Right.
So that's why we're doing it that way.
So it's fun because it not only is helping the Love Kitchen, which desperately at this time needs it. We have actually been without the Head Start funding for now going on 2 years.
Going on 2 years.
So this is detrimental. People were very giving during the holiday season. The first round of stimulus checks, very giving. And that is ultimately what has kept the doors open at the Love Kitchen. We have some of our churches in the community that support and it just all means the world to the Love Kitchen.
Yes.
There's no paid employees at the Love Kitchen at this time, so everything that comes in truly is going right back into paying the overhead, because there is overhead.
There's an amazing amount of overhead. The insurance policy, the power bill, the gas bill, everything, it adds up every month, and it's stuff that has to be paid. You know, it's not any special favors that it receives just because it's a nonprofit. It has its bills it has to pay. So yeah, everything that the car show makes, every single penny will go back into the Love Kitchen, and it will be to keep the doors open for the Love Kitchen. There, like you said, there's no paid employees anymore, so it will go strictly for the Love Kitchen.
Yeah. And with the car show coming up very soon, do you anticipate that there's going to be a need for vendors? Are there going to be spots for vendors still available? What does it look like at this phase in the game? Sponsors, because it's hard to go solicit sponsors for the show when we're on a time schedule. We have to basically wait for approval for the show before we can solicit sponsors. So if there's a sponsor watching right now, if there's somebody that wants to put a booth at the show, how would they contact you?
You can contact me directly on my cell phone. You can do that. You can email Hogs and Hotrods, hogsandhotrods@az.com. You can also get a hold of the Love Kitchen if you want to be a sponsor. We are in desperate needs of sponsors right now to make this show happen. Vendors, we're in need of vendors right now. A lot of people are apprehensive because they're not sure whether or not the show is going to happen. Please contact us, get our information. Let's get your information. Once we get that green light, which I know we're going to get, once we get that green light, we've got ample room on our field. We can take all the sponsors, we can take all the vendors. We have the capacity for 47 vendors. Right now we have 0. So we have room. Trust me, we have room.
And let's specify, when we're looking for vendors, the Love Kitchen actually has a booth that does the food.
They do the food, yes.
So we try, and the reason we do that for this particular show is, again, to raise money for the Love Kitchen.
Love Kitchen. That's actually serves a dual purpose. The primary reason is because most of the food funds that are generated at a car show is because of the primary food. So by the Love Kitchen doing that, they will accommodate most of that money. In fact, they're going to accommodate all that money. But it's also an example for people to see how the Love Kitchen performs when they make the food and how they distribute it.
Right.
So it's kind of a twofold thing, but the Love Kitchen will strictly do the food, the hamburgers and hot dogs and stuff. But we look for lemonades, cotton candies, popcorns, woodworking, jewelry, anything that you do as an arts crafts, anything like that, we will take you.
And I think with everything being shut down next year, I'm hoping that this will generate those people say, okay, here's something that we can go to again.
Absolutely.
And
not to mention, it is the biggest event that kicks off our spring and summer here on the White Mountains. It's the first big event that we have up here. So we need to make this one big.
Right, because our local economy needs that kind of stuff, especially now. The local businesses, small businesses, several have done very well, but several have suffered because of COVID. And I think it's just the unknown. People don't know, and whereas, a lot of the businesses that gear towards accommodating people, those are doing great.
Absolutely.
But there's other small businesses that have actually closed because of the lack of people that have come in. So with that being said, anything that we can generate locally to bring more people.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of the people that we solicit as far as the car show are because of out-of-town car shows.
Out-of-town car shows. Our primary goal was we wanted to bring new cars up here. We all know who the biggest car show on the mountain is. We wanted to bring cars up on the mountain, and we have no year restriction, no make, model, or year restriction at all. So we wanted to bring new cars up here and have people up here, locals up here, see something that's new and different. There's so many things out there, like SEMA shows have all the new additions for cars and hot rods and stuff, and that gives us an opportunity to bring that up here and display it. So people go, wow, got to have that. So that was one of our goals. We do go to the Valley very often, mostly every other weekend. We solicit a lot of car shows down there. We hand out thousands upon thousands of flyers, and we try to get those clubs up here.
Right.
So that's one of the things that we do to help our local businesses, and that was part of us wanting to give back to the community for helping us out, was to bring business to them and bring the people up from the Valley to help their businesses out.
Well, I hope and pray that this is going to be a successful year.
Me too.
This would have been, so had our last show not shut down, that would have been what year?
This would have made our 4th year.
This would have been 4th, so technically
Yes.
it's our
So this is technically our third. Yes.
So, yeah, you may find little miniature masks covering the date on some of our trophies, just as fun.
Yes, absolutely. We're thinking of something, but we're still going to have, every year we have a theme. Last year we was going to have the pirate theme. Because we didn't get to do that, we are going to do it again this year. So this year's theme is pirate. Dress your display up as a pirate theme. We have a 3-foot trophy that's going to be awarded for that.
Danny Lewis, thank you for being on Compassion Speaks.
My
I know you
pleasure.
have a heart to serve your community and all those who are affected by so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today, and make sure to get out and serve in our community. Tune in for next month to see Compassion Speaks.